ay 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 rtzonecha ay 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 oh ay 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 oh did die 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 oh die
Shabbat Shalom. We're so glad that all of you are joining us to welcome in Shabbat. Whether you're a congregant at Congregation Emanu-El or you found us on Facebook Live, we welcome you. And we welcome not only you, but it is my great joy and privilege on this Shabbat to welcome our newest rabbi to our clergy team, Rabbi Sarah Joselow Paris. I have to tell you that, and I think any rabbi or cantor at Emanu-El would tell you, that working with this team is just one of the greatest joys of being a rabbi at Congregation Emanu-El. And though it's not difficult to sell the congregation to a new rabbi, we hit the jackpot when Rabbi Paris put her application in to join our clergy team. And I hope that each one of you virtually, while we have to do these things digitally, and then in person, will take the opportunity to get to know Rabbi Paris, hear her story, and tell her your story. She is going to be an extraordinary part of our team. She's so wise and passionate about Judaism and social justice. And she's just a fun and funny person. She's just a real compliment to our team. So we're glad to have her with us. And of course, at some point, you'll get to know her husband, Zach. And I always say to everyone at Emanu-El, I know you have, one rabbi or one cantor who's your go-to, but you should collect the set. And we're also so thrilled that Rabbi Paris's parents, Alice and Peter, and her brother are with us on this Shabbat, and symbolically to share this light that has come from their home to ours. So Rabbi Paris, we welcome you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much, Rabbi Beth and Rabbi Jonathan. I am so excited to be here and so honored to be helping to lead One Shabbat for the very first time. I've been working in engagement for the last year, and I've loved attending One Shabbat, and I'm so thrilled to get to lead with you, Cantor Luck, this evening. I'm welcoming my parents, Alice and Peter Joselow, and my brother, Jonah Joselow, all the way from across the country in Ossining, New York, and my husband, Zachary Paris. And we will be lighting the Shabbat candles all together.
Oh, there's Arik.
Go ahead. There we go. Go ahead, Mom and Dad.
Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We are going to be beginning our service today with Cantor Luck by singing Lecha Dodi, which is welcoming in Shabbat. It begins on page 20 if you are following along in the Siddur, which was chatted on Facebook and in the Zoom. And this evening, as we sing Lecha Dodi together, I invite you to use the chat feature to take a moment to reflect on what you are looking to welcome into your life this weekend. Is there something you're looking forward to? Is there something you really want to focus on? While we're welcoming in Shabbat, welcome something beautiful into your life this Shabbat.
דודי לקראת קלה הנה שבת נקבלה שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם תפארת ולתהילה יוי לך דודי לקראת קלה הנה שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לחול ונכה היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם ניסוך סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה יוי לך דודי לקראת קלה הנה שבת נקבלה היא באורך ומיורי יורי יורים שדברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה ילך דודי לקראת קלה הנה שבת בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמונה עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה איי איי לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה איי איי לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה איי איי לי 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 איי לי לי איי לי לי אביי תראי לי לי איי לי 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 איי איי לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה.
We are going to be continuing our service with the official call to worship, the Baruch Hu, on page 28 if you're following along. Please stand if it is your practice.
Yai lai lai yai lai 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 da dai 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 yai lai lai yai lai 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 yai da dai 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 ai lai 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed ai lai lai, 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 lai. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. We focus inward on God's oneness and the oneness that we actually find together, even virtually online, as we sing these words of the Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Evaed. For those of you following along in our virtual Mishkan Tefillah, we are on page 36, and you may be seated for V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha v'hayu hadevarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shintecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha b'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations shall be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Our freedom song, Mi Chamocha, on page 40.
Yai lai yai lai la lai yai lai 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 la lai yai lai yai lai la lai yai lai 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 mi chamocha bailim Adonai mi chamocha nedal bakodesh Nora Tehilot Ose Vele Nora Tehilot Ose Vele Malchutecha Rabubanecha Okei Hayam Lifnei Moshe Miriam Zeli Anu ve'ameru Anu ve'ameru Adonai Yimloch לעולם ועד אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אילי 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 יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Amen. We now turn our minds to those who are in need of in need of healing of body, of mind, or of spirit. As I read our congregational healing list, please enter the names of anyone you are thinking of and want to include in our healing prayers this evening to the chat on whatever platform you are joining us for services. This evening, we are especially praying for healing for Susan Cole, Susanna Benningfield, Gary Luck, Frank Friedman, Barbara Felton, Alana Scheindlin, Micha Scheindlin, Althea Bernstein, Jerry Jacobs, Brittany Salazar, Herschel Ben Meir Vigittel, Richie Gluck, and Max Hyman. For all of those that we have just named, we pray for healing with the Misha Berach on page 253 in the middle.
מי שברך אבותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. מי שברך אמותינו, שרה רבקה, לאה ורחל. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding, strengthened by the power of your love. Mi sheberach avoteinu, mi sheberach imoteinu, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
We continue with the Hashki Venu, the prayers asking for all of us to be sheltered in God's love on page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom, Lishalom, Ve'ha'amidenu Shomreinu Lechaim, Fros aleinu Sukat Shlomecha, Fros aleinu Sukat Shlomecha, Amen. things like teach us daily wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
We're going to be continuing together with the core of our tefillah, the Amidah, this evening, beginning on page 46. We are going to be reading the first few paragraphs together, and then there will be a time for you to do some silent reflection on the things that you are grateful for and what you would like to ask God this evening. If it is, please rise and join with us on page 46.
Adonai Svatai Tiftach, Adonai Svatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi Tehilateh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon קומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו ואהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע מוריד הטל מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר הסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש ותושיב בכל יום יהללוך סלע ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Vegohani, Vegohani, Yiyun Hiratzon, Imrefi, Vehegyon Libi, Lefanecha, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Vegoani,
So one thing that you may not guess just by looking at me is that I absolutely love sports. I run a fantasy football league for Reform rabbis. I read ESPN literally every day, and I am known to plan my social calendar around playoff games. Part of what I love about sports is that at their best, athletic leagues and individual athletes with platforms can lift up the best of what it means to be human. Earlier this week, I was struck by the actions of one such athlete, Julian Edelman, a wide receiver in the NFL for the New England Patriots and a fellow member of the tribe. Not only was Edelman's conduct an example of an athlete using his platform for good, but it was also, in my opinion, a great example of a Jew representing the best of what it means to be Jewish. For those of you that don't follow the NFL as frequently as I do, a little over a week ago, another NFL player, Deshaun Jackson, a black man, posted some anti-Semitic quotes on his social media. Jackson later removed these posts and apologized for his actions, but in our media-focused world, his statements were out there and a frenzy had begun. There's a lot to unpack in the nuances of Jackson's statements and how other public figures did or did not respond to them. And there are many articles that do just that, and I encourage you to go find them online if you're curious. But for the purpose of our time together tonight, I want to focus on Edelman and the way that he in particular handled the situation. Proudly displaying his Jewish star necklace, Edelman, a white Jewish man, took to his social media to share with the world his response to Jackson's posts. I know he said some ugly things, he said, but I do see an opportunity to have a conversation. I don't want to distract from how important the Black Lives Matter movement is and how we need to stay behind it. It's really hard to see the challenges a community can face when you're not a part of it. So what we need to do is we need to listen. We need to learn. We need to act. We need to have these uncomfortable conversations if we're going to have real change. Practicing what he preached, Edelman then shared that he had personally reached out to Jackson and invited him on a day of mutual learning and listening. Edelman offered to take Jackson on a tour of the Holocaust Museum, and in exchange, he asked that Jackson take him on a tour of the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Instead of putting the onus entirely on Jackson and proclaiming that he needed to educate himself or be canceled or fined or fired, Edelman instead focused on mutual education and building a better future together. Not only offering to help Jackson learn, but also seeking to learn more himself and actively asking for Jackson's help in becoming a better ally and champion of justice. Though I can't be certain whether or not Julian Edelman read this week's Torah portion before posting on social media about Deshaun Jackson, it struck me that he certainly captured what I think is one of its main messages. an emphasis on learning and continual self-education as a fundamental Jewish value. This is a value that is always important, but is especially critical at times of societal crisis and upheaval like we find ourselves in this Shabbat. Our actions in moments like these define who we are, not only as Jews, but as human beings. In the Torah this week, we read Matot Masai, a double portion which finishes the book of Numbers. In this parsha, we find the Israelites on the edge of the promised land after 40 years of wandering in the desert. They are about to put down roots, and they are finalizing the logistics of who lives where and how society will work. Actions at critical times like those have the power to dictate who the Israelites were going to be as a society. What were they going to value? Who were they going to include? And what would they stand for? With his words this week, Moses played a very key role in ensuring that the Israelites built their society around what really mattered in this week's parsha. You see, all along, after they left Egypt, the goal had been for all 12 tribes to travel together to the land of Israel, then divide up that land equally between themselves so that everyone could have a small part of it to call their home. But in this week's parsha, at the very last minute, 2 tribes, the Reubenites and the Gadites, realized that this didn't actually work for them anymore. They were shepherds of large flocks of sheep and cattle, and they realized that the land that they were already on the eastern side of the Jordan, was perfect for their flocks. They had ample space and ample resources, so why would they go anywhere else? Because of this, they asked Moses if they could stay on the side of the Jordan and never enter Israel. They said, "We would like to build here sheepfolds for our flocks and towns for our children." Understandably, this wasn't something that Moses loved the idea of right away, but after much back and forth, Moses ultimately did grant the tribes their wish, enabling them to settle east of the Jordan and not enter the land of Israel. However, in granting their wish, Moses very subtly yet significantly reframed the Reubenite and Gadites' original proposal, instructing them, listen closely to see if you can see the difference, to go build towns for their children and then sheepfolds for their flocks. Whereas the Reubenites and Gadites had named their flocks first and their children second, Moses named children first and then flocks second. In the Torah, small things like a word reversing is often some of the most significant fodder for commentary, and this subtle reversal of order, children before flocks, is absolutely no exception. Commenting on the Reubenite and Gadites' flocks before children proposal, Rashi stated, commenting on the Torah portion, they cared more about their property than their sons and daughters. This is wrong. We must focus on what is essential first and on what is less important second. First, go build cities for your children to learn and grow, and only after that, begin to focus on your flocks. The order is key here. In putting sheep before children, the Reubenites and the Gadites had their priorities wrong, and Moses reminded them that they needed to correct their focus. Another piece of our Torah portion this week also emphasizes the importance of education and its centrality to Judaism. In this week's parsha, cities of refuge are established. The Torah tells us that these were 6 special towns where individuals who had unintentionally killed others could escape and live in as a kind of temporary safe haven while they awaited trial. As I was digging into cities of refuge this week, I learned something that I found particularly interesting about these cities that I'd never known before. According to Talmud Makot, the sages taught if a student was exiled to a city of refuge, his teacher was exiled with him. As it is said, and he shall flee to one of those cities and live, meaning do the things for him that will enable him to live. According to the Talmud, they could not imagine a way for a person to meaningfully live without access to learning, even in a city of refuge. At its most basic, this is the core of the Judaism that I know, love, and practice. Continually lifting our world up through learning is fundamental to who we are as a people, and particularly fundamental to me as a rabbi, as a former proud public school teacher. Emphasizing the importance of education to Judaism, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs once stated, "For Jews, education is not just what we know, it's who we are. No people ever cared for education more. Our ancestors made education a religious command, and our rabbis valued study as higher even than prayer." Simply put, there is no Judaism without continual learning, questioning, and growth. We are the people of the book, and our book tells us to go find many more books and dig right in. As we see society all around us today, teeming with systemic and structural racism and oppression, a critical piece of this deep Jewish commitment to learning is not just seeking out new information, but also doing deep self-reflection, confronting our own biases and deeply held beliefs to make ourselves open to new ways of learning and being. This is not easy work, but as Edelman asserted, it is critical that we all engage in uncomfortable conversations and confront our own privilege in order to make our world the most just it can be. When we conclude each book of the Torah, as we do this weekend, we recite a special phrase, Chazak, Chazak, v'nit chazek, which translates as, be strong, and we will strengthen one another. As Edelman so deftly modeled with his actions this week with his colleague, Deshaun Jackson, it's only through mutual learning, reflecting, and lifting each other up that we can truly build a more just society together. So at this critical moment in time, may we all embody these words from our tradition. Chazak, may we strengthen ourselves. Chazak, may we strengthen others around us. V'nit chazek, so we will all be stronger together. Ken yehi ratzon.
We have come from near and far to raise our voice in song. And the more we join in the refrain, the more we feel strong. Chazak, Chazak, v'nit chazek. There is a power in this place and time. It shapes the rest of our lives. For when we return each year, we find truth we can't deny. Be strong and let us strengthen one another. Be strong, let us celebrate our lives. Be strong, let us strengthen one another. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Be strong and let us strengthen one another. Be strong, let us celebrate our lives. Be strong, let us strengthen one another. Chazak, 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 v'nit chazek. Aleinu can be found on page 282. Please rise. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, התגדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כהרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We've come to the part of our service where we turn our thoughts to those who are no longer with us. As I read the names on our congregational Kaddish list this evening, please chat the names of anyone that you are remembering as if you are with us in person, because you're there with us in spirit. This week, we are particularly remembering those who have yet to be laid to rest, Jose Yanis, those who have died in the last 30 days and are in Shloshim, William Sugar, Barbara Levy Greenberg, Maximilian Breyer, Jerome Jerry Charles Daniel, Sumner Charlie Shaw, Andrea Tropp, Rabbi David Davis, Helen Salazar, Stella Salazar, Yonim Schweg, Alan Schneider, and Margie Kumando. We are also thinking of this evening those who have died at this season in years past: Rose Guza Barkadorian, Felice Baum, Ilya Isaac Belu, Helen Harris Benioff, Felix Braun, Richard Brewer, Eliza Leah Cody, Clara Cohen, Doris Cooper-Smith, Ruth Davis, Joy DePelt, Jack Ecker, Sam Vogel, Leah Feudum, Benjamin Gisson, Sylvia F. Golub, Sonia Gruzman, Shirley K. Harris, Elizabeth Herman, Barry Jasper, Louise G. Kalish, Joseph Kuttner, Stephen Lehman, Ann Learer, Irving Jerome Levin, Ralph L. Levine, Betty Lichtman, Melvin Lichtman, Donald Magnin, Cicely Fippen Marks, Faye Massamayor, Edward V. Nathan, Sigmund W. Ottenheimer, Paul Petranker, Suzanne Petranker, Sam Price, Jewel Roa, Leo Samuel Sachs, Rosetta Sampson, Gregor Schauer, Frank Schweninger, Lottie Sherwin, Sarah Jane Shear, Rose Lillian Shepard, Menachem Ben Aziz Shushani, Virginia Slaughter, David L. Spiegelman, Lawrence Stein, Fanny Tolchin, Michael Volin, Solomon Wolinitz, Mimi Wolf. Please join me in the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Please rise with the mourners if it is your practice. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, b'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivorach leolam olmei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei tekudasha brechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'miran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Zichronam Livracha, may all of their memories be for blessing.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
We will now continue to celebrate Shabbat with the Kiddush.
And before we sanctify the Shabbos with the Kiddush, I just want to also say Yasher Koach
Thank
to
you.
our new Rabbi Paris. It was an honor to officiate your very, very first service as an Emanu-El Rabbi. We are so thrilled to have you on this team. Some of you may already have met Rabbi Paris because she's been with us already for a year in our engagement department, so we've gotten a chance to work with her already and get to know her, and we are just so blessed. We are so blessed to have you lead us in the community in this way, and I speak for myself when I say that I look forward to many, many years together of making beautiful minyanim together, lots of services, lots of joy, lots of simchas. And so before I do Kiddush, I would like everyone to join me in a Shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lahazman hazeh. All right, now we can do the Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila lemikrae kodesh, זכר ליציאת מצרים, קיוונו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים.
Chaim. There are just a few announcements for us this evening. If any of the self-reflection and the learning that I spoke about this evening is appealing to you, you will be excited to know that your clergy team is engaging in with it ourselves. And we are leading a series of book groups on using the book How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi this summer. I'm leading one for young families. Rabbi Rodich is leading one for young adults. Rabbi Beth and Rabbi Bauer are leading open groups for the whole congregation. And Rabbi Bauer's actually begins next week. So make sure to go to our website and check that out. I really encourage all of us to start engaging in that learning and self-reflection. In addition, we have Havdalah tomorrow night at 8 p.m. with Cantor on our Facebook page. And if you identify as a Jew of color, we have a special gathering just for you, hosted by fellow members that identify as Jews of color on Thursday evening. And we would really welcome you to come together in that space with other people who identify the same way as you.
I have one more announcement.
Go for it.
Thanks. So the last 3 months have been intense, to say the least. They've been hard, they've been trying, they've been difficult. And I think it's always important that we Jews do find the space for laughter and having fun. In that spirit, watch your inboxes on Monday. Rabbi Bauer and myself made a pretty silly video. It's called the Jew Vengers, and the Jew Vengers actually come to our YFE, our Youth and Family Education Department, and we thought we'd share that video with the community, so watch for it on Monday. It's pretty silly.
It is pretty epic. I've seen it. It's great.
So should
The
we
only
do
other
Motzi?
announcement is to make sure to wear a mask. We really wanted, I hope that I will be here for many years leading services, and I really can't wait for the first one in person with our clergy team and our kahal. So wear a mask and we can get there sooner.
Wear a mask. Should we do
And with
Hamotzi?
that, let's do Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom, everybody. Shalom aleichem malchei hasharet malchei elyon melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Shalom aleichem malchei hasharet malchei elyon melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Oy oy oy. Shalom aleichem malchei hasharet malchei elyon ay 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 mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Nil shalom malchei hashalom malchei elyon mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Nil shalom malchei hashalom malchei elyon mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Oy oy baruch hu. Nil shalom malchei hashalom malchei elyon ay 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 mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Tzeitem l'shalom malchei hashalom malchei elyon mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Tzeitem l'shalom malchei hashalom malchei elyon mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Oy oy oy. Tzeitem l'shalom malchei hashalom malchei elyon oy 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 mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. See you all soon.